Top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the morning to you all. Welcome to another episode of Brandon Space, the only podcast about a playlist. Well, probably not the only one, but the best one. I am one half of your hosting duo. My name's Jonathan Beardsley, and as always, I'm joined by the titular face, the Kendrick Lamar to my baby Keem, Brandon May. Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the morning.
Let's get this shit.
Let's go.
All right, so let's go straight into the singles today. First up, we have Coda the Friend, 96 Bowls. We haven't heard from him in a solo capacity in a little while. How you liking this?
It's great. It's classic Coda. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think we were like getting a little burnt out on his features, but this was good. I think his last few singles, Outside, I forget what the other one's called, and this one, I'm really liking where he's going though. Hopefully, we get at least one more album from him this year.
I mean, yeah, it'd be cool, and he's clearly very busy all the time. He's always in the studio, so
Yeah, both his like main releases have been great. Still in my rotation, still love him. So always great to see him.
yeah.
Next up, we have Ray Vaughn, Not Allowed. Did you get a chance to listen to this one?
Oh man, this is actually really good. I'm excited to hear more from Ray Vaughn, and I'm excited to kind of dive into his older stuff and then his subsequent releases on TDE. This is really good, man. Yeah, I'm rich in spirit. No way I'm gonna die broke. I loved that line. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. The I really like the production of this. The piano and the beat was really good. We've both been kind of hearing him through the last few freestyles that he's released, which are phenomenal. This one's an absolute banger. It's part of like a 3-song EP that he dropped. I just skimmed it. This sounded like the best song, so I threw it on, but we'll definitely be reviewing his stuff going forward.
Oh yeah, cool.
All right, next up we have Rez and Death Pact, Chemical Bond. Is this what you were expecting from a new Rez release?
Yeah. Actually, it's classic Rez, man. It's very good. I Death Pact is I'm not sure I really heard their influence there. I this is a Rez track to me.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Death Pact, so I really can't speak to what their influence would sound like, but
Same.
I was a little surprised in the sense that like she's been going a lot more vocally and a little bit more commercial, so it was kind of cool to just see her go full grime again. This reminded me a little bit of Dr. P.
I can see that. I can see
Yeah,
that. Some old
which
Dr. P.
that's the easily one of the best dubstep producers of all time, if you ask me.
Yeah,
And probably
I
a
would
guy not a
definitely
lot of
say
people
that.
know anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really kept up in the dubstep music scene, but I do have a buddy who's at Lost Lands this weekend, and I don't know if Dr. P is on lineups and shit like he used to be, but
But do you remember if his remix of Sweet Shop dropped at a rave you were at, like back in the day? Do you
yes,
remember what that was like?
it was
Like,
insane.
dude,
Like,
it was otherworldly back then. Like, it was almost like it was a cult thing within even the EDM scene back then. It was like if you knew, you knew, and it was really cool.
yeah, he kind of had one of those cult followings where he never really hit the big mainstream, but he ended up being like a huge fan favorite. And didn't he do a bunch of back to backs with Excision?
Yeah, him and like Funk Case and all
Yeah,
those guys at the time were doing a lot of back to backs.
before
Man,
they blew up.
what a moment in time.
Yeah, right.
Jeez, but good times.
Yeah,
Good
for sure.
times. All right, next we have a very odd release. ABBA, I Still Have Faith in You and Don't Shut Me Down. This was their first release in what, 40 years, I think?
Something like that, man. Jesus, I'm hyped, man. I love ABBA. I was actually listening to ABBA right before we jumped on here. It was I liked I think I liked I Still Have Faith in You a little bit more than Don't Shut Me Down. But I'm excited for it. It's a weird release though because because apparently they're doing some sort of digital concert in London or something like that soon. I'll have to dig up the article, but and I can throw it in the show notes for this episode. But it's a weird. Why not just do a real concert? In my opinion, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean they are older and COVID is going, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Potentially,
Um, I hated these. I
you
thought
hated
these
them.
songs, yeah, I hated these songs. I thought they were really bad.
Okay.
I know that might, I know that's, I like ABBA, so I'll preface it with that. I guess I'm not prefacing it if I'm saying it after, but um, I don't know. Katie and I like told her, Kate, sorry, my wife. We were listening and like I told her, and she was like, "All right, ABBA released new music," and we pressed play, and we were just both kind of like, "Nah, not for us."
All
I don't know.
right.
I wanted it to just be a little dancier, a little more upbeat, I guess. Like I'm not a, I like commercial ABBA, Waterloo, Dancing Queen, Take a Chance. I like that type of stuff. These
Man
songs
After
just,
Midnight.
yeah, I just these songs didn't hit me the same as those.
Fair.
But I will definitely check out a release from them just based on respect. But if I'm judging them by modern judgment, these weren't great.
Okay. No, you know what, man? That's fair, and I'm interested to hear the album.
Me too. Me too. We will skip the Thrice song for now because we will
The album
review
came
their
out.
album in
Yep.
whole later. So we'll skip to Rodhad and Fatty Moham. A bunch of fucking numbers and a decimal and shit is the name of the song. Um, we did not review the Thrice song, but this was very jarring to review right after a Thrice song.
Yeah.
This is like full fucking techno. My first thought was like, am I at Berghain right now? Like,
Actually, he has a residence there, I believe. It's either
oh
that or
my god.
Tresser in Berlin, and
Let's
um,
go.
yeah, he's kind of a legend over there, man. And
I can see
he's
why.
yeah, he's huge in the Berlin techno scene, and I think I forget how I stumbled upon. I think it's pronounced Roadhad, although you can never tell with those symbols. Um,
Yeah. Is it Under
and
Oath? I can't.
it's yeah. The numbers and the symbols represent basically every time he does a collaboration, the song titles will be a series of numbers and symbols to I think it's to signify like the date it was recorded or released
Okay.
or something along those lines. And he has two record labels that he runs. He runs one for himself for his own personal releases, and then a number of other artists that he signs over there, and then another record label for his collaborations. So all of his collaborations will be run off of his own record label that he runs, and it's all very good. And if this is your first foray into Roadhat, I seriously recommend you look into some YouTubes or something like that. I'll maybe throw one of his mixes in the show notes because he's very good. It is pure Berlin techno,
Yeah, I fucking love it. Do a song with Boys Noise, please.
right? Like
That would be fantastic. All right, that was great. I loved it.
cool.
Moving on, Chet Faker, Feel Good, A-Track remix. I was happy to see A-Track remixed like my favorite song from the Chet Faker album. It's a good remix. A lot of like the disco sounds we've been hearing this year.
Yep.
I had no complaints. Thought A-Track did well. What about you?
My notes literally say great remix for a great song. Like
Yeah.
it really fits right in that sweet spot for late 2021. So
Next up, man, maybe one of my songs of the month. Maxo Cream, Big Persona featuring Tyler the Creator. Have you ever heard Maxo Cream before?
I have not.
I'd heard of him. I think I maybe heard a song or two of his, but I didn't know any of his stuff by voice or name, and I think I do now.
Yeah.
Because this is so good. Tyler really gets to like he's still kind of in the Baudelaire like lens of rap, which is great because he's just fucking amazing.
Right.
You know what, we've heard Kanye drop, we've heard Drake drop, we've heard Nas drop, we've heard Vince Staples drop. I think Tyler's the best right now.
Yep.
Like I until Kendrick comes back, I don't see anybody at the level he's at. And to say all that is to say Maxo matches him so well on this song.
Yeah, there's
My,
a fantastic energy with this song.
Maxo Biggie Papa, who you know do it better. I'm the trap Barack Obama, Betty Crocker used to peddle. Straight mixing drugs, buddy, love nutty professor with Griselda. Like the dude is fucking insane. I love that so much. Um, Great song, maybe song of the month. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good song. Tyler's verse is just fucking incredible. You mentioned that Tyler is at the top of the game, and I will agree on terms of talent. I sent you something last night. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but it was the hip hop charts for first week sales.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
And it really sucks that both Kanye and Drake are overshadowing the like a lot of great talent with these numbers. Like it just like how do they have so much reach? It to me it feels like I don't know. Tyler definitely is
I
blowing them out of the water with talent, and we're gonna get to the albums, but
Yeah, I don't want to step too much on the Kanye and Drake talk at this moment, but in
fair.
terms as it relates to Tyler, Tyler was number one the week that he dropped, which is what matters. You can't
True.
control if a release after your week is bigger. All you can control is making sure that when you drop, you're the biggest thing that dropped. And he has twice now beaten DJ Khaled, whose whole identity is being number one and has money to buy verses from Jay-Z, Beyonce, and still cannot outsell Tyler, which is driving him fucking crazy.
Cool.
And Tyler could not be less bothered by this if you've heard the interviews lately. I don't know. Dude just bought a boat, you know? He's doing well. I'm very excited to see him next year on tour. I don't know, man. He's just at the top right now.
Did you buy tickets?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
sick.
him, Kelly Uchis, and Vince Staples. We're going to the Portland show at the Moda Center. I
That's
think next
so
March.
exciting, man.
Yeah, that's going to be phenomenal. Very excited. Three
That's
of my
awesome.
favorite artists for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Next up, we have Sid, Right Track featuring Smino. So she had dropped a track earlier this year called Missing Out and didn't really do much for me. She dropped another track, I think a month ago called Fast Car. Loved it, but I didn't really think like much about it. Like I thought it was kind of just a one-off. She hasn't released a solo R&B album since 2017. So I guess it's about time for one, but I really wasn't expecting it. I didn't know if she was working on a new internet album with those guys. This is fantastic. I think we are getting a new album since the artwork is very similar to the last one. This has
Nice.
like classic 90s R&B arpeggiated guitar in the beat, a little bit sped and pitched up. Nice breezy Smino verse. I liked it. What did you think?
Yeah, the Smino verse was very good. I really dig this song. Yeah, the beat was really good. It's cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, she might be like a dark horse for R&B album of the year if she releases this year. We'll see.
We'll see.
Um, Next up, man, this was unexpected. So Glass Animals, I don't want to talk. I just want to dance. This is being He added this to the deluxe edition of Dreamland, which so he didn't re-release the deluxe edition. He just somehow added this, which is like music in 2021, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, like,
I think the song was good enough to be like the start of a next album rollout, but maybe it just sounded too sonically similar to Dreamland.
yeah. I actually was thinking that as well.
Yeah, it's the first time I listened to it, I was like, "Oh, that's a bonus edition track," but it's fucking catchy. It grows. I think it'll do well on the radio if it hits.
Well, so Dreamland was one of those albums that you threw on and then it ends, and then you're like, well, now I need to listen to that again, and
Mhm.
it doesn't really get old. Listening to it twice, and it kind of left me wanting a little more of that same style Glass Animals. And honestly, man, I mean, this was I'm super happy that we got this. So I think you're right. I think sonically it fits better with Dreamland than maybe whatever else he's working on. Because fuck, we don't know. He could be working on Disco Trap. So
Yeah, I'd be here for it.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy we got more music, and this is it's a very good song. So
Yeah. Next up we have Chloe Have Mercy. Are you familiar with Chloe at all?
I am not, but oh my goodness, this song has so much energy, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah, so she was part of an R&B duo with her sister named Hallie that's been pretty successful over the last few years,
Yeah,
maybe a little bit underground. So their name was Chloe X Hallie, Chloe and Hallie.
got it.
She obviously went on off on her own. I wouldn't say like their music was more wholesome, but definitely a little more subtle. I don't know if you saw the music video to this song.
I did
Maybe
not.
throw it in the show notes. Think Nicki Minaj's Anaconda video.
Oh my god.
Mixed with like Normani's motivation video. It's meant to get people talking. She's a very talented person. They're kind of proteges of Beyonce, which I'm sure you could hear the influence like a lot vocally on this song. If you told me this was a new Beyonce song, I'd believe it, honestly. I liked it though. I think as a R&B debut, this is good. It's just different enough to make her stand out from the rest of the pop and R&B scene, and I think we're going to get an album pretty soon, but I don't know if it's going to be this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed this track, man. There was just a lot of energy here.
Yeah, she also performed for the first time and she did this song at the VMAs this year, and again, much like the music video, like a lot of ass going on, but the performance itself was good. Vocally, she's very good. Has a lot of weird Halloweenish aspects to it, which is kind of odd, but we'll see
Well,
where she goes from here.
well, it is fall, John.
It is fall. It is fall. Get your pumpkin spice lattes out. Um, so back to the techno world. We
Right.
come back to some Rodriguez Jr. with two tracks, Killian and Au revoir Paris. You showed me Rodriguez Jr., I think with a remix he'd done last month.
Yep.
Um, this dude is fucking great.
Isn't he?
I had no idea who he was before that remix you showed me, and I'm like blown away by his originals. Killian is super good, like prog house with a little bit of techno and DNA and influence in it.
That piano is just lovely.
Yeah, the piano's great. Au revoir Paris has like more of that trance feel. I love it. Both songs are perfect.
That
What do
bass
you
line
think?
is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of both of these songs and basically all of Rodriguez Jr.'s original releases. So Lizette is, I believe, on Au revoir Paris. And her voice is great. Melodies are on point. I don't know. Did you get a chance to listen to that circle set or watch that circle set that I
Yes,
sent
I
you?
did.
So
Phenomenal. Oh my god.
Lizette is the girl that he brought with him because he collaborates with her
Oh, okay.
on a ton of music. And
Yeah.
wasn't it just spectacular, man? Like it's up there on the
Phenomenal.
prog house techno wherever this fits in the subgenres. I want more of it all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you got a chance to watch that.
This is take a handful of drugs and be in the middle of a big group of people music. It's great.
Absolutely. You just kind of feel the love. You know what I'm saying?
That's all we want. Yeah, love this. Can't wait to see what he does next.
Cool.
Next up, we have Mastodon Pushing the Tides. This
Big
is going to
hype.
be one of the singles off of their new upcoming album. Overall, I liked this song. I'm not like a giant fan of his vocals, but by the time they're just jamming the fuck out for like the last minute and a half of this song, like it's hard not to just appreciate how good it is, you know?
Yeah, I will agree with you there. I think that once you get used to his vocals being the way that they kind of fit so well with the sonics that they create that it being dad metal vocals doesn't really matter, you know?
No, not at all. Like,
Um,
when it suits their strengths, like on Show Yourself and songs like that, it works. It's just sometimes it's like I don't know, it just doesn't match very well.
That's fair. I am super hyped for this album. As you know, I am a big Mastodon fan, and yeah, I'm stoked, man. It's gonna be a good album. They released a music video for this song, and it's pretty fucking cool. I'm gonna throw that in the show notes. I suggest you watch it. It's cool, man. I'm excited. All aboard the hype train.
Are you also a fan of Mastodon's The Animal?
Um, I mean, yeah, but like not as much as the band. I think it's the Blue Ranger that's the Mastodon, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, I completely forgot one of the Power Rangers is Mastodon. You're
Come
right.
on, man.
They all fit together. I had like as a kid, there was a set of toys that all came with like their individual one, and then they snapped together to make like the
The Megazord. Hell yeah, man.
Oh my
I had the
God.
same set.
Dude, I remember, not to go too far off the rails, but I remember an episode where like Megazord got his arm cut off and like it was a to be continued. And I think that whole week I was just fucked up at school. Like I was like, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like, I was ruined, man.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Speaking of goth and emotional, next up we have Goth Babe,
Yes.
Casita. I know nothing about Goth Babe. Give me some background.
So Goth Babe is one dude, which is weird, right? And there's nothing gothic about his music. It's kind of like beachy surf vibes.
Yeah, kind of a weird name.
I found out about this band on the Indie Heads subreddit, and I dig the music. It's kind of got that flowy Beach Fossils kind of surf music, which I dig from an indie from indie rock. And there's that. He's never released an album, and he's never released anything more than just like a single or two at a time. And most of his music is very good. That's basically all I know.
Interesting. You would be in a Reddit thread called Indie Heads. You totally would be. I thought this song is well produced and it's creatively written, but I'm just not a big fan of like the acoustic pop elements of the song that much. But
Alright.
I guess I'm not like super into Beach Fossils either, so that could be like why I'm not connecting the dots. But I'll definitely check out more releases if you'd like to.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I just wasn't that into the song.
Releases are pretty few and far between, anyways. But if he ever decides to write and record and release a full album of music, then let's chat about it. You know.
We shall. Next up, we have Mercules and Benny the Butcher Need Me Now.
So I added this to the not to cut you off, John, but I added
No,
this
go
to the
for it.
playlist before I listened to it, and I decided to keep it on because I saw both of their names and I like both of these artists individually. I've heard them both do better though, so this seems like a weird track. What were your thoughts?
Very similar. I thought Benny did a little bit better than Mercules, but I didn't think either of them did enough to save it from being a skip.
Yep.
That's about as simple as I can
Yep.
put it. But yeah, it's just like you said, like Benny the Butcher is one of the best rappers around right now. So we kind of expect a lot more than that.
Right.
Next up, a track that kind of took me by surprise, Gorgon City Skywalk. And I'll tell you why it took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting them to release any new music like so soon after releasing a new album.
Yep.
The track isn't like necessarily bad, but like there's nothing that stands out about it. So I think they kind of should have held off on releasing music a while to keep attention like on all of the hard work that they just put into a full-length album. I get that this is modern kind of tactics of just content nonstop feeding. But it's just a very minimal track that doesn't really push their discography forward. But I think it'll be good live, if that counts for anything.
So it's funny you say that. I opened up this single. I don't know if you've noticed, but Spotify has this new like notifications feature. Instead of release radar, it'll show you like who released an album, sort of thing. Instead of just
That like on the main screen on the app, it'll
Yeah.
suggest a new release. Yeah.
not on the desktop app, which is wildly
Correct.
frustrating for a number
Yes.
of reasons. But so
That'll be a special episode.
I saw, yeah, well, just a Spotify rant.
Yeah.
So I've got some rants, man. So I clicked on this single from that notifications bar, and it takes you directly to the single release instead of just listening to the song, which I love because I get all the information about it. Well, I noticed that this was not on Universal, which they usually release music on, and it was on Circle Records. And I was like, wait a second. That's interesting. Lo and behold, later that day, they released a full Circle set on YouTube. So I will. I think they had done it live to coincide with the release of this single, and I think they wrote this specifically for that set. Which is why I think you think that it would translate better live, because I think it does. I really liked the song, but it like you said, it isn't as upbeat and synth heavy as some of their other stuff is, and with those future house bass lines and stuff like that. We didn't get that from this, and I think this. I'm not sure where. I haven't watched the Circle set yet. In fact, it's on my YouTube's watch later, so I'll throw it in the show notes so everybody else can watch it and you can watch it. And I think I'm gonna like it, because I've seen Gorgon City live once, and they're fantastic. But I've never seen that. That's why I'm saying twice, because I've seen them DJ set, and then I've seen them live band, and they're both different. So the DJ sets are a little bit more housey, kind of minimal. So we'll see.
Yeah, getting the context that it was for a Circle thing already kind of changes my perspective of it a little bit.
Makes more sense,
way
right?
Different.
Yeah, I saw that, because I had the same thought that you had after I clicked play on it, and I was like, wait a second, let me look at this release, and it wasn't released from, I think it's Universal, who their regular record label is.
Yeah,
so.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. If it was for a Circle set, no harm, no foul.
Right, there you go.
I rescind all of my words. Next up, we have We Are Scientists, You've Lost Your Shit. I think this is their third release this year.
Yep.
This song is pretty rad. Reminded me of the Vaccines a little bit. So far, all of the new singles have been very solid. How are you liking it?
One of the things that you had said, I think it was last month on one of their singles, is I like a little bit more punk in my punk, and this has way more punk to the pop. So I knew you were gonna like it as soon as I listened to it. I was like, yeah, he's gonna dig this one a lot more. I liked it a lot. I'm excited for the album, man. Drop it already, guys.
Drop it. Next up we have, oh boy, okay, Sacramento's own Papa Roach, Kill the Noise and Swerve featuring Fever 333 and Swaco. Would you like me to go first, or would you like to, Brandon?
Please, you do the honors.
So, one of my good buddies, Anthony, works in the music business, and he tells me he does a lot of modern rock albums, and he tells me that every band, when they're coming in to work on a new album, says they want to sound like either Bring Me the Horizon or Linkin Park. Now, both of these songs are perfect fucking examples of that. The first song is just Bring Me the Horizon, a song they probably would have left on the cutting room floor for the Ammo album.
Yep.
And Swerve is just all of the fucking terrible sing rap shit that like only Linkin Park could pull off.
Right.
4 thumbs down. I'm voting for you, Brandon.
So let me tell you something, man. I actually liked their last album, Who Do You Trust? I think I'll always have a little soft spot in my heart for Papa Roach. That being said, they're obviously both very commercially manufactured songs. Swerve is god awful, but I didn't mind Kill the Noise. Here's something that might surprise you, Mr. John.
Surprise me. Do it.
As of the writing of my notes, which was a few weeks ago at this point, Papa Roach is 500th in the world on Spotify.
Interesting. That's higher than I would assume.
Way higher than I would assume. That's just I thought that people forgot about them, but no, man, they've apparently been doing a lot. I think, and now I need to know. I think it's going to surprise you how many streams they have on one of their songs here.
So 10 million monthly listeners, 680 million streams
Yep,
on Last Resort.
680 million
Okay.
streams. That's so crazy.
So I didn't touch on this in my review of them. For people that may not know, and maybe you don't know some of this, but I'm sure you know most of it. I am from NorCal, born and raised. Papa Roach is from Sacramento. When they got really big, when Last Resort came out, they were like the sublime of Sac. Like everyone was claiming to have seen them at house parties and garage shows, even though they never fucking played.
Right.
A few years after Last Resort, actually, when Getting Away with Murder came out, which an album that I love.
It's a good album, yeah.
That, in terms of like me looking back on my like late high school emo years, like that album was a very big album in my rotation. Scars, huge song.
Yeah.
But anyways, they finally played a show up there and they headlined what used to be a yearly music festival called Twisted Christmas, and it was like their first big headline show in Sacramento. And like I remember them opening and I was like, man, I'm not that into Papa Roach, but I was like, you know what, I kind of want to hear Last Resort live. Of course, an hour and a half later, it's the last fucking song they play.
Yep.
But they fucking killed it. They were big, stayed in my rotation forever. And then I think maybe like 5 or 6 years later, I saw them at Crew Fest and they were washed as shit. Like it was the most dad shit I've ever seen. It was bad to watch. He was like going in the crowd like it was like young aggressive people and it's like middle-aged moms and shit.
Right.
It was just kind of a weird, like it's weird when a guy's going in the crowd where people are sitting, not even like standing. But I don't know, man. I hope they get back to their radio glory, but this is not it. This is them trying to be other bands and not trying to be Papa Roach.
No, and I'm glad that you prefaced it with some of that insider information about the music industry, and it makes me sad that everybody wants to sound like new Bring Me the Horizon. But yeah, I just needed to say that, and also as of the writing, it was 500, but as of right now, currently while we're talking, they're number 486 in the world, which is God, it's blowing my mind, man. Who's listening to these people constantly? That's so fucking crazy.
I gotta admit, I'm surprised as well. Like Scars and those songs, I'm not surprised, but yeah, it seems like their 2017 album, Crooked Teeth, has a few songs that cracked 100 million plays. I mean,
Wild,
10 million
man.
monthly listeners in 2021. That's
huge.
That's pretty crazy.
That's
Yeah.
huge. And I mean, I understand Last Resort having 680 million streams, but really, I wouldn't even. I would have considered Scars in the 20 to 50 million streams, but not 161 million streams. You got to give them credit where the credit's due there, right?
Jacoby Shaddix is like the dad metal Sonny Moore, I guess. Maybe he just has that power over people. I don't know.
He's the dad metal Sonny Moore. I'm dying. All right, thank you for that.
All right,
If this conversation brings anything, it's that quote. So, legend.
All right. Next up, we have Parquet Courts Walking at a Downtown Pace. Go for it. I don't know them very well.
So these guys are pretty big in the indie scene. I guess they're considered post-punk, something along those lines. I can't really keep genres.
Love the
together
word
anymore.
post.
Big fan of that word post. So I did really enjoy their last album. It's called Wide Awake. I think you'd like it too. I'll admit, with a little less gusto than the internet, I did enjoy it. The internet seemed to blow up at this album, saying it was the best thing since sliced bread, and they kind of give me a Franz Ferdinand vibe on this song. I really enjoyed that. They actually released another single that we'll be talking about on our next session, probably next week or something like that. And it's a good song. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the album that's coming out. They have released a new one, and I will be listening to it.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard an indie punk band that sounds quite like this before.
They are different.
It'll definitely take me like digging into their discography to figure out if I like them, but I think this is a good song, so I'll check out more for sure.
Cool.
And if internet hipsters love it, then I'm going to hate it. But I'm very excited to check it out. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You live in the
Just being.
land of hipsters now, buddy. You better it's conform or not at this point.
All right. Next up, we have Yeba. I'm not sure. I think it's Yeba. Far Away featuring
Yebba
ASAP
dabba
Rocky. Yebba Debba Do.
Here it is.
So I looked into her after hearing that interlude she has on Certified Lover Boy, the recent Drake album. And I just saw she released a new album herself, skimmed most of it. I thought it was good, but not really close enough to either of our interests to review in full. But my ears perked up when I heard this song, even before ASAP Rocky's part came in. And then when he came in, I was like, oh man, this shit's really fucking good.
It's a good song.
Yeah, they match well together. Her voice is great. I think people should definitely check her out. Like if they liked that interlude on the Drake album, she's definitely like a unique talent. In terms of ASAP, he kind of just does his classic guest verse thing here. I like him though, man. He gets a lot of flack, and his last album, Testing, didn't really review well, but I thought it was pretty good. And I hope we get a new album from him soon, but he's also fucking dating Rihanna now, so I'm sure he cares about nothing else, nor should he.
Is he really? But today I learned, man. That's good for him.
Oh
Man.
yeah, you're not on the internet anymore.
I'm not on the internet. Well, I am
Yes,
on the
they.
internet. I'm just not on what the internet's mostly used for
Yes,
nowadays.
yes. Yeah, they've been together for a while now, so
Nice.
I,
Good for them.
yeah, I
Well,
get why he's not thinking about anything else.
I liked this song. ASAP's verse is great. I agree. He gets, it's hit or miss with me. I think you and I talked about it, like years ago, back when I was commuting to Temecula before we moved out there, and I
Hmm.
actually threw a bunch of ASAP Rocky on my playlist for the day. And I think you and I talked about it. I think it's like every three songs there's a song that's like, why did you even put this on out, bro?
Yeah,
But the two songs leading up to it are fucking great. So maybe that's just his that's just his thing.
I agree. Yeah, I think he is one of those like if he was a basketball player, he'd be shooting like 33% from the floor. Like
Yeah,
he's
there you
making
go.
one out of every three shots,
and
maybe. I don't know.
and you know what, they still get paid. So
But you know what? Compared to albums we'll review later where these people are shooting 1 for 27 or something like that, then he's very like not that bad in comparison.
right, for sure.
Okay, so good God, here we go. All right,
Challenge.
Phoebe Bridgers' funeral. All right, is this my funeral?
Come on, man. Well, you said you weren't a fan of her music,
No,
so
no.
I threw
Okay,
on one of my favorite songs from one
I
of her
got you.
albums. So go
I
ahead.
Oh man. Okay. She is a very talented singer. She's a talented songwriter and musician, but like just I'm not into folk pop that much, and she is like the poster child for that sound right now. And I know the last time we talked about her, I joked about you probably making me listen to Kyoto next time, and you
Yep.
actually said that's probably one of your least favorite songs of hers.
Yes.
Um, and I get where you're coming from, but like I think a song like that might hit me better just because there's a little bit of drums and life in it. Although I have heard that song, I'm not a very big fan.
Right.
Um, it's just like this is an acoustic ballad about like funerals for kids. I'm not really sure how to feel about it or what like when I'm supposed to listen to this. But it doesn't really matter what I think of her style because it's taken over. Like once Taylor Swift switched to this sound, Phoebe blew up. Lord, Claro, Haley Williams started releasing music in this style. Like it feels like it's here to stay, whether I like it or not.
You keep your words
Um,
about Taylor Swift in line, sir.
I just said she pioneered
Okay.
this
Okay.
sound of
Okay.
pop that is now dominating everything. No, she went right and everyone else went right. Like there's no denying that
Yep.
correlation right now. People kind of like started hating on her with the like look what you made me do, where aesthetically it was very Beyonce like, and now she like pivoted to more of like, all right, I'm not going to try and be a pop star, I'm just going to do music that's similar, not country, but definitely similar to my roots, you know?
I mean, she worked with fucking the National, Bleachers, and Bon Iver on her last album, man. Those are
Yeah.
those are those are
And
big names.
and
Like,
Jack Antonoff is my least favorite producer in the world. So that could be a reason I don't like a lot of this stuff. But I actually like Bleachers a little bit more than I like anything he produces, which is kind of interesting.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Well, so you heard it here first, everybody. A, John doesn't have any feelings, and he's also wrong about Phoebe Bridgers.
Yes.
My man, you
I
never get sad? You don't want to listen to sad music? Come on.
am like the Hulk. My secret is I'm always
I'm
sad.
always
Brand.
sad. Got it. All right, fair. No, I'm a huge fan, and obviously our tastes differ at certain avenues, and I think it's funny when our tastes don't coincide because they're always like the opposite. They're
And we
always
can never figure out why the other person
Right,
just
like-
isn't getting
like
it.
I fucking love this song by Phoebe Bridgers, man. It almost brings me to tears every time. If you listen
Maybe
to
it's
it,
one of those songs that like on the right night, if I'm like a beer too deep and I'm just sitting there on the couch and it hits me, maybe I'll get it. Like, dude, okay.
fair.
Good example. I did not understand Aqua Teen for years. I came home really drunk one night, clicked right away. Became one of my favorite shows. Watched it by appointment every night from then on.
That's fair. That's fair. No, and I get that. And no, I look, I'm not gonna pretend to understand your not like of this, but I will respect it. So there you
I
go.
appreciate that.
There you go.
All right. We are done with the singles for now. If it seems like that was brief, that is because we are doing a two-parter this month because we have like 24 fucking hours of content or some shit to go through by the time we're all done.
It's wild.
This is crazy. So we're going to break it down in parts. And another reason the singles were minimal is because we have a lot of album stuff to cover. So
Right.
strap in.
Well, a lot of the singles that we've been talking about in months prior have turned into albums this month, and I'm excited, man. Let's go. Let's get into it.
Our babies grew up and became adults right before our very eyes, man.
Can't believe they're in college already.
I know. It's fucking costing me out the ass. Ginger Wallflowers. So this is a holdover from last month that came out. We both felt like we hadn't digested it quite enough. Brandon, this is one of your favorite bands. I will let you go first.
So 2021 has been a shockingly good year for metal, man. Ginger released Macro in 2019. I absolutely loved that. They blew me away with that release. I still listen to it every other month or so. This album, Wallflowers, it's a really good album. Her voice just works so well with their music, man. The way they structure their songs, I think, has like a lot to do with it. A lot to do with how well her voice works. It's kind of similar. I don't know if you listen to Bleeding Through, but it's kind of similar to how they have like the synth player in their metalcore band with a female vocalist, and I think the femininity actually adds a layer of beauty to the absolute destruction heaviness. It doesn't detract at all from how heavy they want to be, even though her voice is kind of pretty. This album is very heavy. It's heavier, in fact, than a lot of their contemporaries that are releasing music nowadays. They fall into a subgenre I've come across called Gent, D-G-E-N-T. Basically classifies them on how they play their guitars and how they hold the strings or some bullshit. I call it metalcore, deathcore on this album. They kind of flow freely between both of them. The breakdown on Vortex is fucking crushing. The drumming throughout the album is next level. Disclosure is really bass heavy. It's really I think they have two breakdowns in Disclosure. Copycat has some like thrash in it. Pearls and Swine is a very cool shout out to Animal Farm, I think, if you listen to some of the lyrics. Her voice really shines on Pearls and Swine. And really kind of showcases how structuring a song to kind of make the instruments take a break while she just fucking belts out lyrics about righteous cowards really sets them apart from their peers in the metal scene right now. Sleep of the Righteous sounds like a crazy mushroom trip.
Yep.
Wallflowers is the song itself. Wallflower is an epic song. I kind of, if you read the lyrics, I think most introverts can relate to that. Overall, man, this album hits just right. It's in the ocean that is good metal nowadays. It can really be difficult to stand out, but that's not an issue for Ginger. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think I wrote that after like my third or fourth listen. It might be a 9 out of 10 now, man. I bought the CD. It's in my car. I listen to it constantly. My standout is Disclosure.
Interesting.
What were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, we need like a sound tag every time there's a new genre. So gent, gent. We need one for that.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of time to sit with this one as well. I think it fucking rocks, man. It kicks off with like 3 fucking bangers. Call Me a Symbol, Colossus, and Vortex. They show their range on tracks like Colossus with like they go from like a 2-step groove to blast beats to a breakdown and then back to clean vocals.
Big fan
to
of that.
trading off, like all within the span of a minute and a half, it feels like, and they're never missing a beat and never missing a beat. Nothing feels out of place. Like you said, the album's really anchored by Tatiana's like fucking powerful and beautiful voice. Her ability to be metal as fuck and quickly switch gears to like grunge rock is really fucking good. When she gets into like that singing voice, it reminds me of like Prime Courtney Love on Hole, or like Juliet Sims a little bit with Automatic Love Letter.
I could see that.
Yeah, like that raspy, just guttural energy. The drumming on this album is fucking fantastic and really shines on Pearls and Swine, like you were saying. The title track, Wallflower, which I guess that's not a title track because Wallflowers is the name of the album. Wallflower is the name of the song. I have OCD, sorry. But anyways, my favorite lyric and the way she delivers it when she screams, turning molehills into mountains, I feel the pressure building, is so fucking epic. I love that shit.
I get goosebumps every time, man. Like,
the way she delivers
really
that line is just, oh my God, it's perfect. And they end the album on a hell of a note with Mediator, which is a song I'm not even going to try and describe. People should just listen to it if they haven't heard it. It's great. There's really not a bad song on here. There's more than a few like let's open this pit the fuck up moments, which is like I love that. Like, keep my metalcore metal, please.
Yes.
And I think it'll keep me coming back whenever I'm in a need for this type of music. I gave the album a 7 out of 10. My favorite, I think, is Vortex, but I did like Copycat and Wallflower quite a bit too.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good one, man.
You bought the CD.
Yeah, I did.
How 2005 of you, Brandon?
Fight me, homie. One of the reasons I buy CDs, to let you know, is that the Bluetooth in my car doesn't get loud enough. So especially on metal, which I basically listen to exclusively in earphones or the car, is you can't not listen to something like Ginger like loud. Yeah. Like the neighbors need to fucking know. You know what I'm saying?
You're not going to get Randy Jackson from American Idol's autograph.
Exactly.
The Bluetooth in my car doesn't even work, but thankfully I drive work vehicles for like 12 hours a day, so I get to listen to all of this on much better speakers.
There you go.
And this album is, for those who don't know, I think Brandon and I have kind of locked in on like a 3-listen method for albums when we review.
Yep.
I try and give them all the headphone, the speaker, and the car test if possible. And yeah, I feel like you need all 3 layers, because with albums like the Stephen Bodzin we'll talk about soon, you need to really make sure you're getting every layer of the music delivered to you properly, the way it was meant to be heard, you know?
There are some albums I won't listen to on my speakers, and I will only listen to in my headphones.
We are snobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get this speaker away from me.
Be gone.
All right, next up we have one that we kind of threw on as just a what the fuck, why not? We have Jaden Smith, CTV3 Day Trippers Edition. God, how old are we? Jesus Christ. So
I asked myself that at least 7 times when I was listening to this album.
it was a fucking weird one to review and listen to. And my scores, like, I think I had this one pretty high to begin with, and then it went pretty low, and then I kind of like just adjusted and tried to go unbiased as possible when listening to it. But something I didn't know when adding it is that this is like technically a deluxe edition of an album he released last year, I think.
Okay.
But it's mostly new songs. Like the song with Justin Bieber and I think Cabin Fever, like those were on the original album, but I think most of these are new songs. So we'll kind of review it as a new album. I have a bunch of notes here, but I'm not even going to read them. I just I thought that this was stretched a little thin. I thought that his commitment to the style he went for on it is good. Like his fusion of pop and R&B, or not R&B, his fusion of pop and hip hop are impressive when it's working. I think Bye is easily the strongest single on here. I like how it, like, on the bridge, it's very like Tyler the Creator inspired, almost like just this bridge of harmonies layering on top of each other. And he does that flow that he can kind of only do. He really only does one flow, I've noticed, when he gets into rapping, which is kind of like not good for an album that's 19 songs and an hour long. The acoustic elements wear on me quite a bit. I was very fucking happy to hear Joey Badass on this album because he was one of my favorite rappers. His album All American Badass, which I'm still waiting for him to follow up, I listen to it weekly still. So it was cool to hear him, but other than that, this really didn't do anything for me. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Bye was my favorite song. I don't think I am the demographic for this album. How did you feel about it?
All right, so let's talk about it. I actually am going to read my notes because I have a couple of thoughts that happened as I was listening to it. So,
Please.
So by the time Falling for You came on, I actually had to look up how old Jaden was. His song is written like a sophomore in high school, and it's probably for that demographic, but he's 23. It seems a little odd.
Yes.
Like you said, when we reviewed Summer last month, it was like nostalgia for something you had never really lived through. All of that being said, this isn't like bad music, right?
No.
This album was clearly born out of some acid trips. The lyrics are very, very, very telling about that, which is fine. But I wonder, do you think he like has conversations with Will before he releases music like this, or do you think he gets a call from the Fresh Prince himself saying, "Did you do acid?" Like,
no, I don't think he runs it. I think that they are a very open family, and I don't know, man. Maybe they do seem open enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious about how that works. Hey, Will Smith, if you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome. So the album actually seems, for me, one of my biggest issues with it is that it's structured weirdly. I feel like it could have been 3 separate EPs, each with their own genres, and it would have maybe landed a little better.
That would have been more him too.
Like I said, it's not bad music. It just also isn't good music. I think my standout is actually Our Psychedelic Love Story, which is weird, but I also gave it a 3 out of 10. It didn't really stick with me.
Yeah, maybe by the time he gets to CTV 10, we'll be giving it a 10 out of 10.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
All right, let's cleanse our palates of this quickly, please.
Yes.
We have Stephen Bodzen, Powers of 10, which is an album. We reviewed a new release of his last month, and you added this because I wasn't overly familiar with him. So this is, I'll just give you my thoughts off the bat.
Please.
This is a masterclass in techno. The way he puts together heavy bass lines, syncopated claps, and these like ultra smooth synth tones is a gift that very few people have. I'd heard the opening track Singularity a few times over the years and always liked it, but I never really dove into his album cuts. This album is full of great songs that I find myself coming back to a lot already, like Blue Giant and Zulu.
Oh yeah.
And the album's closing track, Were, I really like. I think that's how you say that. Everything
Yeah.
on here is of the highest quality, and the better speakers, the better your listening experience with
Yep.
it will be. There's so many layers to pull back on an album like this for as simple as it is. I find myself finding new little things every time I listen to it. And I like that about it because that's an increasingly rare thing with albums or music in general right now. Looking into it, he hadn't released an album in 8 years when this came out.
Yep.
And for electronic acts, that's not really unusual at this point. But now that we got a new single last month, do you think that's a new album coming or just a one off?
Confirmed it's a new album.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. Well, that'll be awesome.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I was blown away by this. Everything like that Singularity kind of puts in your ears is only expanded upon, and you get to see way more than that and what he's capable of. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. My favorite track was Singularity, but like I said, Blue Giant, Zulu, there's not a miss on here.
Yeah, I feel like Singularity is it's his most streamed song on Spotify, and I think arguably it's his most popular song. But it really does a good job of opening up what the remainder of the album actually does. This is one of my favorite albums in the techno house genres on that side of things. It's simple at the same time it's complex, kind of like what you said. There's layers, even though it's so simple. It's building and it's dark. The whole album to me is just fucking beautiful. How he constructs his tracks is it's next level, man. It's really next level. One thing that I really appreciate about techno, John, is that some people think that it's just computers and it's just, the same sound. It's just a 4/4 beat. But one thing that I really appreciated is that the level of creativity that's required for a producer to work within the confines of a 4/4 beat, and expectations to stay true, to kind of stay true to the foundations of the genre. That's kind of that's expected of people in this whole area.
Yes.
I think Bodzin does that perfectly. It's pure and it's also fresh. The percussion on this album gets me every fucking time I listen to it, man. It's next level.
That's beautiful.
The synths are incredibly unique, and the bass lines are and forever will be interesting. The way he's able to build the tracks up, and then he just kind of softly lays the beats onto a cloud of serenity. It's something I have yet to experience with another artist, at least at this skill level. The synths on the entire album are just incredibly positioned in tunes. The layers and dead space he's able to utilize when kind of peeling those layers off. It's really showcased on the title track, Powers of 10.
Yes.
And then comes my favorite track after that, Lila. Huge build, insane synths, dead space, and then there's layering. And then, like, if you could condense the album as a whole into one song, I think it would be Lila, because every single facet of the album is on this song. And I think this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I have
Yeah.
the 3 LP vinyl. Like, it's a good one, man.
I expect it to be a 10 out of 10 from you for sure. And,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not, I think when either of us are within like two numbers of what we're in, that's pretty good. Cause
Yeah.
like for it to even mean as close to me as it means to you is like an accomplishment, you know?
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
it's always one of those things. Like I would put this on the level of like Gaspard Auger. Like
Oh,
it's a
for sure.
master class for sure. Yeah, thanks for showing me it. I really can't wait to fucking review the full length. Now that I'm looking at the artwork for this, you have this on vinyl, don't you?
I sure do.
Yes, we've listened to this together.
I think we have. I think I showed you like a side of one of the vinyls.
Yeah, you were like, I'm throwing this on. And I was like, I have no idea who this is. Yep,
Right?
I remember this.
Yeah, I think it
Good
was when you
times.
came and saw the house here in La Quinta, or I don't know.
Temecula, I
Oh,
think.
it must have been Temecula.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Matty G's Burgers.
Oh man, so good.
So good. Heart attack, but so
It
good.
was all
All
right,
right,
man.
let's move on to another heart attack. We have the ever delayed Kanye West Donda. Do you want to go first on this? Do you want me to go first? Do you just want to have a back and forth conversation about it? How do you want to tackle this?
Let me first say, hype is a weird thing, John.
Very.
People attach their own self-worth to something that is intangible at the time of the onset of the attachment of their self-worth. We've seen it happen so many times this year, specifically in rap. And I hate hype, man, because you get these people defending something that isn't even out yet. Like it's
Album of the
wild,
year.
man. And people were saying it was album of the year after it came out, and then the
After the
problem,
first listening party.
the problem with it, John, is that people attach their own self worth to it so much, and then if they don't like it, they try to convince themselves that they do like it. Because if they don't like it, well, then everything that they had said up to that point is now a lie or some fake or something along those lines, and you got to give him credit because Kanye West really does build the hype up, but fuck, this album is bad, man. Like, let's just have a conversation, bud.
All right. Is this his best album since Yeezus?
No, I really liked Yay.
You liked Ye.
I did.
I'll never understand that, but I'm not one to judge. Like, so
He was really honest
right.
on that album, which I enjoyed.
So we'll exclude Watch the Throne and we'll exclude Cruel Summer, just because those are kind of side projects and mixtapes. So
Yep.
if Dark Fantasy was his last great album, after that we get Yeezus. We're both in agreement that Yeezus is not great, right?
Correct.
He was very experimental on it. I don't understand why Daft Punk had any like hand in the creation of that mess. It's terrible. I honestly tried to go through it the other day to even like maybe there's an instrumental on here that I like or something.
I do
Nothing.
it once a year because I do like Kanye, and I throw Yeezus or Life of Pablo on or something, and I'm just like, this isn't it, man. This just ain't it.
I agree. And when I go through, like, I like chopped ups. I miss the old Kanye. Chop up the soul Kanye. That's what I miss, honestly. And on, I think, Bound 2, which became a joke because of the music video for it, like, he does a little bit of that, but the lyrics are fucking terrible, which became a sign of things to come. So after Yeezus, we get, I think, a 4-something year wait until Pablo, which is kind of the beginning of what we're seeing continued on Donda, this overlong, overly experimental, too many cooks in the kitchen approach to making music, taking way too many opinions of people that aren't you into account, clearly,
Right.
and tracing trends that you're 10 years too old to be chasing.
Right.
When I revisit Pablo, I like Real Friends. I feel like that feels like an older Kanye song, and I like No More Parties in LA, but that's because Kendrick's on it. When I revisit Ye, I'm sorry, I just don't get it, but I do like a lot of his production from that year, such as Pusha T's Daytona, Tiana Taylor's Keep That Same Energy. Thought both of those were great. Jesus is King was trash, but Follow God I thought was a really good song. And I think it was the most played on that album by far because it's the only fun one. So I kind of go through that to say I maybe like one song per Kanye album. And I want to know, out of the 27, I think that's how many songs are on here, what song is it that you think I like, Brandon? Knowing me.
Off the Grid.
No.
No. What is it?
So Off the Grid has easily the best verse on the album by Fivio Foreign, who I only knew from a feature on a Nas song called Spicy off King's Disease.
It's the only song that I even think is worth listening to on this album. And I don't even think it's that worth listening to.
And I will give Kanye credit for rapping on it. Like, it seems like by the end of Fivio's verse, Kanye realized, oh, I need to do something. Like, right. I need to match this because I'm getting stomped on. Like, this was Nicki Minaj on Monster, which, if you don't know the story, almost got cut from that song and that album because he doesn't like to not be the best. And she killed him on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so Off the Grid, no. I do like it. I would keep that. I don't skip it. But the Playboy Cardi verse at the beginning kills it for me.
Oh, that's who that is? I don't know.
I think that's who's
Spotify won't tell me because Kanye's an idiot.
So after the first listening party, the big like moment of it was Jay-Z's verse on Jail, which went from like a big moment at the first listening party to, oh yeah, that's there on the second, to this is not that good. This is kind of stupid. Like, this is his verse on the Drake album is much better by comparison. We get the most complete single from the album with Hurricane because The Weeknd is doing everything in his fucking power to will this into a song. One of the best production choices on the album is the choir behind him when he says, "Don't let me drown." That's great. But no, the song I like is Believe What I Say. It is Kanye sampling Lauryn Hill's doo-wop. It is a weird song that sounds like a 2008 Kanye pop feature on an Estelle thing or a Carrie Hilson song. I don't know how this made the album. I don't know if this was even recorded in the last 10 years because it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, that's the only thing I really return to. Although Jesus Lord, which if you made it this far into the album is just good on you. He does start rapping a little bit personally about his mom and about like, let me see, I'll pull up the line here really quick because I think been in the dark so long, don't know if there's light here, but I'm reaching for the stars like Buzz Lightyear. And now I'm light years ahead of these nightmares. I deaded those night terrors when the night clears. And if I talk to Christ, can I bring my mother back to life? And if I die tonight, will I see her in the afterlife? But back to reality where everything's a tragedy. I think like that little quip right there is the most honest and vulnerable he's been in 10 years. And he quickly recedes back in and gives the spotlight to Jay Electronica on a personal song about his mom, which makes no sense.
Right.
It's just frustrating, man. Like you said, there's weird moments on here, like No Child Left Behind, which is actually produced by Giselle Felstein.
Wait, really?
Yes. That song is produced by Giselle Felstein. Yeah, it was used for a Nike commercial recently, and he's like, oh yeah, I made that for Kanye like a year ago or some shit.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so much weird shit on here, man.
Where are the drums? There's no fucking drums on half of this album, John.
No, man, it's boring. And there's so much that needed to be cut. There's so much that's not good. And there's him trying to be... all these part twos should have been cut instantly. Why would you have DaBaby and Marilyn Manson on an album about your mom?
Like, you're like known abusers. Like, get the fuck out of here, Kanye.
This is clearly supposed to be a statement on cancel culture, and it doesn't work, man. Yeah, I have this as a 2, but I think it's a 1.
It's definitely a 1, man. It's so bad.
I'm gonna change it to 1.
I can't do it, man. It's awful. I listened to it 3 times for the review, and I will never listen to it again. It doesn't deserve my attention.
No, I'm with you. I think Believe What I Say is the only song I saved on it. And like I said, he's shooting 1 for 27. These are not great numbers.
Yeah.
And that's almost
27 songs. Get over yourself, bro.
Yeah. And he's still lost.
Oh, fuck, man.
We'll get into the battle of him versus Drake here in a minute, but we get a brief reprieve with a different release. Are we good to move on from Donda?
Let's please not give this album any more attention.
Okay, it's over. Duckworth, SG8. Are you familiar with Duckworth at all?
I am not, but I am now, bro.
So yeah, he's like an up and coming dude. He's been steadily releasing like really good music for the last few years. A few of his songs have been in my rotation: Crush, Michael, Super Bounce. I recommend checking all those out if you're not familiar with them. I saw he dropped a new mixtape. I kind of put him on that like that Topaz Jones level, like very good rap, but it usually won't blow you away. It's not super expensive production. It's just very talented dude doing what he does. And he kind of floats between the hip hop and pop and R&B thing. I think best actually on the song Slow Motion, which is like easily my favorite on this
It's
EP.
a really good one.
Yeah, that's just a fucking bop, man. Yeah, like I like the energy he's bringing. I think him and guys like Reggie Snow are like a really good window into where the like younger, maybe B, C tier of hip hop is at right now. And it's in a really good place if those are the guys running it. I liked it. I think it's like, I don't know, probably a 7 out of 10. It's kind of hard to judge an EP like this, but I'll give it a 7. And Slow Motion was my favorite.
You can keep the Xannies, I'm Zen. The only bars I'm popping are strictly from the pen. What a way to start an album, bro. That's a great fucking line, man. And those are the first words I ever heard Duckworth say. So, yeah,
Love it.
I was a big fan. I'm a big fan of this album, man. He's got this really cool kind of Anderson Paak, Coda the Friend cross hybrid sort of thing going, at least for me. I didn't enjoy Link Up Time as much as I did everything else, but I enjoyed it. I'll definitely look out for more of his releases, and I'm going to kind of dive through. I think my favorite songs, it's either We Outside and the bass line on Make You Go is just chef's kiss, man.
Yeah.
That's some good shit, man.
Yeah. Maybe I'll throw a few of my favorite Duckworth songs on next month's. He's a really fun dude to listen to.
Cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for throwing this on, and thanks for kind of buffering both of the dumpster fires this month.
Yes. Well, okay. All right, let's talk about this. So, Drake Certified Lover Boy. I feel like you and I feel a little bit differently about this, although I
Maybe.
think we're both coming from the same place. I'll let you go first.
So the album cover is just cursed. The Spotify animation is straight up cursed. If anybody has not seen it, go ahead and open this up on your Spotify and look at how awful this is.
It's haunting. I'll agree.
Did this motherfucker just say he was a lesbian?
Uh, uh, I will not
All
defend
right,
that.
so I remember saying he was never gonna kind of do an album or a project that was as long as Scorpion, and so I mean I guess he didn't lie because it's I think 3 minutes shorter than Scorpion, so we'll give it that. This album and Donda actually have some of the same features in like Travis Scott and I think Jay-Z, Young Thug.
Yes. Baby
Uh,
Keem. Oh no, Keem's not on this
What
one.
happened to loyalty in the rap game, man? I thought they were all beefing. All right,
It's all
so
about money.
similar to what you said when Scorpion dropped, there's an album in here somewhere. It's overdone. I thought that this album was going to be closer to rapping about love, relationships, feelings, emotions. Basically all of the marketing behind this album was kind of pointing towards that, right? It's just about strippers and rap, which is par for the course for Drake. I think he stayed safe. And due to this, he just put the same album out again. The whole album lacks a lot of depth and a lot of creativity. We did get a great track though that proves he doesn't take himself too seriously. When Way Too Sexy is the
Oh God.
unironically the best song on this album. That says
No.
something. So
I hate that song so fucking much.
I gave
Oh
it
my God.
I gave it a 4, my man. It's not a 1 like Donda, but it is.
And Way Too Sexy is your favorite.
Absolutely easy.
Okay. I'll respect your opinion. That song seems to be doing well. So okay.
It's fucking hilarious, man.
So I production wise, I knew that this would be way more up my alley than Donda right away. Champagne Poetry, solid intro. I think it's like a John Lennon written song that's sung by somebody and sampled. It's a very expensive sample, which is why a lot of other rappers keep doing freestyles over it. Namely, Freddie Gibbs just did a freestyle over this instrumental.
All right.
We'll throw that in the show notes. I think it's only on YouTube. Um, Poppy's Home, my favorite beat on the album by far, just because it's a pitch shifted Montel Jordan sample, which, if you know me, I'm a sucker for that. The lyrics to this song, however, are fucking terrible. Beyond just Drake singing Daddy's Home, which nobody wants to fucking hear. I don't know. All right, so do you know what Sierra Canyon or Magic City are?
No.
Okay, so one of the first lines in this song is Sierra Canyon parking lot looking like Magic City parking lot. And this is where a lot of the problems with the album lie. Sierra Canyon is where LeBron James's son plays high school basketball. And these games have become like a celebrity thing because LeBron shows up to them to watch his son play. Obviously his son is going to end up in the NBA one day. So like a lot of LeBron's ex-NBA friends go to these games, right?
Yeah.
And because they want to see LeBron's son play. They've known him since he was a kid. Drake started going to these games because he's friends with LeBron, which doesn't seem weird. But when you start thinking of like Drake being obsessed with a high school basketball team he really has no connection to, it's kind of weird. So Drake starts doing weird shit, wearing Sierra Canyon like jerseys and like sweaters.
No.
Magic City is a very famous strip club in Orlando.
Oh,
He's
my
comparing
God,
the parking
Drake.
lot of this high school basketball games to a strip club in Orlando. He's 35 years old with a son. This is a very, very bad fucking look. Very bad right off the bat.
This is
like
awful,
he's already
bro.
had
Like,
he's already had so many accusations of like being into younger girls. He was friends with Millie Bobby Brown after Stranger Things season 1 came out, and everyone like fucking like tanked that into the ground. They were like, dude,
bro,
he's a
stay
pedophile,
away.
stay away from her. And she actually got really mad about it because she was like, you guys made this like really weird and now I can't even be friends with this guy. He's just very fucking weird. So somebody was flying a drone over LA and they went over Dodger Stadium and they caught Drake having a private date like on the field with, it wasn't like a night the Dodgers were playing, obviously. And it's like one of LeBron's son's teammates' mom.
Ooh.
Like it's the weirdest fucking shit, man. And like I love this song. Like when I hear the sample come on, I'm like, fuck yeah. And honestly, the beat is so good to the song. I don't hear the lyrics, but like I do know that that's one of them, and that it's hard to get past. So
Wow.
there probably a lot that probably lowered your score at least one.
Yeah, sure did.
But so we go on. I would say, despite that line, the first 2 songs are a good start to the album. However, Girls Want Girls has the infamous lesbian line, which is like clever if you're in 8th grade and fucking stupid. Not made any better by Lil Baby feature. Skip. In the Bible, I love Giveon. He's one of my favorite upcoming R&B guys.
Yep.
Skip, fucking terrible song.
Yep.
We go into Love All with Jay-Z, maybe one of the closest like to Nothing Was the Same Jay-Z moments or Drake moments we get on the album. Kind of feels like a sequel to Pound Cake, which they did on that album. Good song, keep it. Fair Trade, this feels like the most obvious hit. The fucking I've been losing friends and finding peace, but honestly, that sounds like a fair trade to me is going to be the most Instagrammed caption of all year. I think that's a decent song. It's nowhere on the level of Sicko Mode, but I think it's going to do well.
Yeah.
Way Too Sexy. You like it. Everyone in the world fucking likes it. I hate it. I won't listen to it. Skip, skip, skip.
It's so
TSU.
bad it's good, bro.
TSU. Are you familiar with the controversy surrounding this song?
I am not familiar.
You ready for it to go down to a 2?
Let's go.
So the beginning of this song features a sample of some guy named Ron C talking, right? And it's very innocuous. You probably don't even remember it. In an inaudible level behind him talking, there's an R. Kelly instrumental playing.
Oh,
So
god
they
damn
had
it.
to credit R. Kelly on this song, and R. Kelly is profiting off of streams to this song. When everyone noticed, which obviously now when an album comes out, Pitchfork, everyone releases, here's the full credits to this album because like
Yep.
Kanye and shit, they hide so much. They don't
Yep.
even put the features on the song. Like, so
Yep.
when everyone sees an R. Kelly writing credit on this song, they're like, what the fuck is going on? He's like in prison. He's clearly the worst person in the world right now. So like quickly 40, Drake's main producer, comes out and says there was that sample at the beginning of the song. There's an inaudible like song that's playing behind it that we had to license for the sample to be cleared, which clearly the sample wasn't even necessary to the song. So this is Drake's attempt to be controversial, like Kanye adding to Baby or Marilyn Manson. He knew that this would happen. He knew people would see this, and he knew he'd be able to explain his way out of it enough to where it wouldn't hurt him, you know? And it's a horrible, it's a dumb song, it's a dumb sample, and none of it makes any
That's
fucking
so
sense.
stupid,
So
bro.
yeah, bro, be controversial and give a writing credit to somebody that rapes girls. Like, the fuck are
Oh
you thinking,
man.
man? Like,
Oh jeez.
god damn, yeah, it bugs me, man. All right, let's move on. In Too Deep. The song was okay until Future came on. I thought the little like guitar was kind of reminiscent of some stuff he was doing on the back half of Scorpion that I actually liked. Pipe down instrumentally, great, but hearing Drake say how much I got to spend for you to pipe down over and over, shoot me in the fucking head. That's a dumb
It's
lyric.
so bad.
Yeba's Heartbreak, phenomenal. This is a beautiful moment on this album. I'm glad he just gave it to her. This doesn't even belong on this album. It's really too good for it.
Yeah.
No Friends in the Industry and Knife Talk seem to be getting good reviews. I don't like this Drake. Shout out to Project Pat getting some love. He's a legend in Houston and just a rap legend that really doesn't get enough credit for his era.
For sure.
But yeah, both of these are skips to me. 7 a.m. on Bridal Path is my favorite song on the album. It's the Drake I like, contemplative, reflective, over a laid back beat, kind of similar to Weston Road Flows on Views. Race My Mind kind of feels like, I don't know, fucking Thank Me Later, like B-side. Like, this is weird. This is just him trying to hit every demographic at this point. Even made more clear by Fountains with Thames. I fucking hate dance hall music. So this did nothing for me. Deezus from Deezus and Miro on Showtime actually tweeted, he was like, this song's for everyone that blew their knees out to Controlla, which I thought was pretty funny. And then we go on to Get Along Better, which is kind of just a blah album cut. Ty Dolla Sign is okay. Not a great song. Really not worth re-listening to. And probably the highlight of the album, You Only Live Twice, featuring Rick Ross and Lil Wayne. Which, what did you think of this song?
It's a good song, man. I like Lil Wayne. I like Rick Ross. I like both of them as features, and it was definitely a high point to the album.
Yeah, I think if we don't get the Drake and Rick Ross album next, it's just a miss. This is the time.
Yep.
They operate so well together. Clearly they can work with other people like Lil Wayne. This felt great. This is why you listen to a Drake album.
Exactly.
It's chopped up soul. It's Wayne, who's been refreshed lately. Hot Wind Blows on Tyler's album, phenomenal.
Let's go.
He's been putting out some good songs these last few years. I'm liking it. Yeah, that's phenomenal. This Kid Cudi verse, another guy who's on both albums, Donda, and you're talking about loyalty. You would think Kid Cudi wouldn't do a Drake song.
Of all
people. And this kind of feels like he's making fun of Kid Cudi. This feels like a parody of a Kid Cudi song that he's actually on. Drake doing this style doesn't work. Pass. Fucking Fans. Musically, great song, but you want to steal the fuckboy image from The Weeknd. This is lyrically the type of song to do it, man. You're 35 talking about fucking your fans, which usually average on 16. So we'll just,
Right. Let's just put that to the side.
yeah, let's put that to bed. God damn. On an album with an R. Kelly writing credit. And then it closes with the Remorse. I think this is another one of the best songs on the album. It's kind of like the 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. It's the reflective, contemplative, very laid back, chopped up soul beat, no gimmicks, which is where I think he makes a lot of his mistakes. So I gave this one a 6 because I felt I liked it more than I didn't. But every time I go through my song by songs, I realize how problematic these can be.
There's like 5 songs.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, there's 5 or 6 songs that I would make. I really only go back to Poppy's Home for the instrumental and 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. And then if the Remorse shuffles on, I don't skip it. Oh, and You Only Live Twice. But that's almost more of a Wayne and Ross song than a Drake song, honestly.
Yeah.
Um
It missed for all the hype. Again, hype's a weird thing, man.
I think but all right, let's have this conversation. Did it win the battle?
Yeah.
It won the streaming numbers battle against Kanye.
Easy.
I think it's a more approachable album in every aspect and more re-listenable.
You
Yeah.
give me a choice between the albums, it's this one for sure.
Yes. Okay. Okay. We're in consensus on that.
Easy.
Yeah.
It just look, man. I really like it when Drake can get honest, and he wasn't honest on 90% of this album.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe that's what it needed. It like I said, no gimmicks. It needed less gimmicks. Like, and I feel like if he would have trimmed this down to 14 songs, this could have been like a 7 or 8, maybe even better, but there's too much trash and
Yep.
a lot of the lyrics are just problematic, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I had it as a 6. I'm gonna move it down to a 4 because it's got some problems. But like I said with all my scores, I don't think anything's really official until about a year after it's been out. So we'll see. This could settle at like a 2. Who knows?
Good. We'll see.
We'll figure it out. Next, we'll touch a little bit on the final streaming release of Aaliyah's self-titled album, which is, I think, her last one before she passed. This is just a seminal, quintessential R&B record.
Mad respect.
Yeah, I think if One in a Million was like a quintessential 90s R&B record, this is kind of the quintessential early 2000s R&B record.
Bro, starting an album with a Timbaland's feature in 2001, that was a huge flex.
This was before he started working with Timberlake. This was his like thing, you know, like
Yeah.
he really latches onto an artist and like really harnesses that relationship and builds with them. He did it with Nelly Furtado a little bit too. Yeah, this was phenomenal. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Rock the Boat's my favorite, obviously. That song is still dominating R&B radio. And the only reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because I feel like she was going to top this with her next album. Like, I
Fair.
don't think this was the height of her trajectory, which is the saddest part of her story. But revisiting this, the only thing I really like, there's nothing I can say about this record that hasn't been said. So I think the only thing I've noticed that maybe is more relevant now is how songs like Rock the Boat really inspired people like Ariana Grande. Like, I don't think that type of sound would exist without songs like that. So it's kind of interesting to hear how 20 years later she really did shape not only R&B music but pop music.
She's still shaping music today, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, "Rock the Boat's" an incredible song. It's a classic at this point. But aside from the obvious here, man, the production is next level on this album.
Great production from Timba and Missy.
It's really a special album, and just like the last one that you threw on the playlist, I had never listened to this one in its entirety. Apparently, so I did a little bit of research. Apparently, she had asked a Mr. Trent Reznor to produce a couple of songs, but they couldn't make their schedules work.
Man.
Can you imagine? He probably would have been on the next one, and you're right, the next one probably would have been her magnum opus. But look, I mean, Timberland, Sony Studios, they did an amazing job on this album, and needless to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually think my standout was Extra Smooth. I liked that song.
Interesting. That's a
Yeah,
great song.
I
That's
like
more
that
of an
song.
album cut, but it's great.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, we really fucked up there.
Yeah.
Like it with people like Amy Winehouse, like obviously it's just as sad she passed, but I don't think she was going to recover to make music again. I think we got the albums that she was going to give the world, you know?
Yep.
With Aaliyah, it doesn't seem like that. And also, Aaliyah was a 90s WWF fan, which is fucking awesome. There's like a video of her like at a WWF show talking about Mankind and The Rock and shit. Like she was
Awesome.
just a really cool girl, and RIP.
Yeah.
All right.
R.I.P.
So let's move on to man. I am very excited to talk about this EP. So Deb Never, Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Would you like me to go first or you?
I mean, I go ahead.
Okay. So we'd reviewed 4 songs of hers earlier this year,
Yep.
and they were all solid. This was fantastic and everything I'd hoped it would be. I talked about how I discovered her last year when she released a song called Stone Cold that fused alt pop and pro wrestling in a way I didn't know I ever needed. And it pretty much made me a fan of what she was going to do next. And this album, I just kind of hit play and went with it. I had my notepad out. We kick off with the song Stupid, and it might be one of the best alt pop intros I've heard. It's simple the way it starts, and it's subtle the way it builds, and the way it crescendos was perfect, like just for the starting note of this EP. We go into Sorry, which we talked about when it was released. It's a great song, really cements her writing style. Very direct, nothing feels forced. I feel like a lot of what I can only describe as the Deb Never sound comes across like in that subtle trap drum elements in the
Yep.
pop songs. Like it's hard to describe what she does, but it's somewhere in there. Next up, we have the track Someone Else, which was the first song off of the EP released this year. The way she does so much by doing so little just captivates me on songs like this. She never goes over the top with her voice. She stays perfectly in her range, and she usually keeps the same tone until the song calls for a little more. Like when we get a little bit of her falsetto on the hook of that song.
Yep.
Disassociate, a beautiful spacey bedroom pop song that's easy to get lost in. Just a great song, and I really like how she keeps bringing in like the guitar elements throughout the EP to keep the overall tone and theme cohesive. Sweet and Spice, which is the most recent single, and we just talked about it last month. You and I both thought it was really good and catchy.
Yep.
It's one of the only times on the EP that she uses an effect on her voice, and it really works in this song. This song might be the best chorus on the whole album. We end with 3 new songs, which was kind of cool. So the first of which is Funky, which we shouldn't be surprised to find the song driven by like a funky drum pattern and bass line. The song's fun and has some of my favorite writing on the album. On the track Coca-Cola, we get just a perfect encapsulation of the album, like you were saying with Lila and Powers of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Her writing is sharp. Her voice is super dynamic and beautiful. The instrumental and production are perfectly suited to what she's doing here. And we end it with the track Red Eye, a fitting close. And damn, I'm just like so blown away by this EP. I've revisited it probably 10 times. I really enjoy it. I think she's doing something just different enough. And I'm just very interested to see where she goes from here. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. Sweet and Spice was my favorite song.
Sick. All right. This is fantastic, bro. Like, this is a very good album. Stupid, really great opener. Really raw, semi-acoustic. It's meaningful. Sorry's percussion is really neat. The whole album is just really introspective and serene, yet it's fun with an energy that's like nostalgic for things that never happened. It's always kind of jarring when it happens for an album that you weren't expecting to hit you so hard, you know?
Yeah.
Like I really wasn't expecting this to kind of hit me in every soft spot that I wanted it to, and it fucking did. 9 out of 10, man. I think Disassociate is my favorite from the album.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we move on to King Cruel's You Heat Me Up, You Cool Me Down. It's a live performance that he did, I think a little bit before COVID really kicked in. I'm not going to bury the lead here. 10 out of 10. Stoned Again's my favorite song. You know I love him. You know I love this. I think this is one of the best encapsulations of his energy that he's put forward. How did you feel about it, Brandon?
I think you threw this on here just to get my reaction. So here's what I did, my man. I went outside on a nice night, poured myself a glass of wine, and put my best headphones on and sunk into this album. Let me start off by saying I typically like studio recorded music than I do music that's released live and recorded live for listening purposes. Huge fan, obviously, of live music when I'm there. So I'm gonna just kind of stream of consciousness wrote down everything that I was writing down. So let's go. The creeping sax on "Out Getting Ribs" is fucking amazing. By now I'm not so perplexed by his voice. The musicality is all there. Maybe I just needed to get used to his kind of regional accent for over there. This is good. It reminds me of a couple of bands that I now cherish. Arcade Fire. Actively didn't like them before I saw them in 2011, and then I saw them live, and I have been a huge fan ever since.
Interesting.
Idols, there was a lot of hubbub about them after they had released Joy as an act of resistance, and I didn't quite get it. After getting used to his voice, I now love that band. So, all right, sidebar aside, I'm super liking the kind of beach rock vibes I'm getting from A Slide In. This dude clearly has a lot of passion. That seamless transition between that and the next song. Oh man, the sax that comes in on the ooze is so nice. They make really good use of space.
Dude, his live saxophone guy is killing it in this album.
Absolutely insane. And here's where Stoned Again comes in. I still can't make much sense of the lyrics, but that doesn't really matter that much because the song does translate very well live. It's once again the sax that stands out for me, though. I wondered, is this band just like a touring band, or do they record with him too?
No, they record
I think
with
is different. Him. Okay. This album is just making the most sense to me. The opening riff to Rock Bottom is really good. I've got mad Interpol / The Strokes vibes from that riff. I really dig this song.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the lasers add to it that much, but I don't think they take much away from it, so whatever. The sax and Comet Face is really good, and it blends really well with the rest of the music. They seem to have a pretty unique energy live. Perfecto Miserable is not my favorite.
Fair.
Half Man, Half Shark is... well, interesting.
I had a feeling you were going to have a reaction to that one.
So, all right. Overall, I really enjoyed the album. I liked his music a bit more in this live format than I have in the studio recordings, which is a little weird for me. His music is a bit slow for me, but it's good music. That I want to throw out there. It is good music.
Yeah.
I really love the sax and the other jazz elements that are incorporated into this. I gave it a 7 out of 10, man.
Fair.
My standout was Rock Bottom.
Nice.
So I actually have a question here for you. What artists did you start off not liking but have now grown to really enjoy?
Start off not liking and then grow to enjoy. That's a good question.
Because
I would say... Oh no, go for it.
I mean, like I said, I actively disliked Arcade Fire after they had put out Neighborhoods, and everybody was all about them. Everybody was talking about them, and I just had no interest in them. I thought that they were fucking boring, and then I saw them live, and it changed my view. I'm a huge fucking fan of them now. So I'm just curious if anything has ever clicked like that for you.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a weird example, but Charlie XCX, pop singer, she
All right.
released like that boom clap song, and I was like, oh, this is very predictable, generic shit. And then a few years later, she released an album called Pop 2, and I like just threw it on one day by chance, and I was like, oh my God, this is like a great fucking pop record. And I was like blown away by that. But she's kind of corrected back. So that one's a little weird. Um, I don't know, man.
We can table it.
Mac Miller's a guy I didn't give a chance early enough to, who I really ended up enjoying like most of his albums.
Fair.
But yeah, I would say, mm, I don't know. It just depends. Bruno Mars a little bit.
So, have you ever been to a show expecting to really hate it and really enjoyed it?
A show. Yeah, Velvet Revolver kind of took me by surprise live.
Now that's a name I haven't heard in many moons. All right, done with the interview, but it got me kind of. This album got me kind of like inquisitive about other artists that maybe I haven't been given a solid chance to. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to listen to King Cruel on a daily basis, but I'm not as opposed to him as or them, him, them, whatever. Um,
Yes.
as I was because I didn't quite get it, and then now that I still don't quite get it, I still enjoy it. So it's just one of those things, you know.
That's fair. I think I sent you he released like the live video of Stoned Again, and I think
Really
I sent
cool.
you that,
You
and you
did.
were
I
like, "Oh
watched it.
man, that dude killed it." And then I realized he was releasing the live album, and then that's when I was like, okay, I'll throw this on if I think it's good. And of course, when he released it, I hit play on Out Getting Ribs. And the second the sax dropped, I was like, damn it, Brandon, you're listening to this. It's great. It's funny. So you'll relate to this story. I'm listening to it, right? And a few years ago, he did this like 30-minute performance called Live on the Moon. And he's like wearing a fucking astronaut suit the whole time. And he
Sick.
released the vinyl like a few months later, and like the vinyl looks like a planet, like a moon. It's pretty tight. But of course it fucking sold out like instantly. And as I'm reviewing it, I'm like, man, I'm still pretty salty about that. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't check to see if this one's for sale. Pulled it up, sold out right away.
Oh
So I
yeah.
was like, god damn it. The hunt continues. This is an album I would love to have on vinyl personally.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm glad you at least got something from it. 7 out of 10 is not bad. I'll take that.
I enjoyed it. I didn't dislike it.
All right, next up, we have We Were Promised Jetpacks and their album Enjoy the View. I think we'd reviewed a few songs from this earlier this year, right?
We did.
All right, I'll let you go first on this one.
So the album kind of starts off with a song about growth, and I really love that. This pandemic forced a lot of people to grow. Fat Chance is it's fun and poppy. All That Glittered really shows their indie post punk roots. The whole album is full of like great guitar riffs and really well structured vocal melodies. It has noticeably less bangers than their previous works do, but it's still a similar sound. It's just a bit more mature. Glittery indie rock with post punk influences that relies heavily on vocal melodies to kind of tie it all together. I like the Scottish accent as well. If It Happens is just a beautiful song. It has a great message. Just get high and enjoy the view, man. This life is too busy sometimes. Overall, I really liked it. The themes and the way they're laid out, intertwined with really, really great melodies. I gave it a 7, and my standout was If It Happens.
That is funny, Brandon, because I also gave it a 7 and my standout was If It Happens. I just wrote, let me see. I actually didn't really, so this album's really good. I just kind of put it on and like sat
Love
back
that.
and enjoyed it.
Love that.
I didn't do a track by track note thing. I just kind of took it all in and then did my notes after. They managed to like fuse kind of classic UK indie rock with like an almost post rock explosions in the sky ambience to it.
Yep.
Their not a bad song on the album, and there's really not any fat on it. This one just comes down to like if this sound is your thing. I'm not a big indie guy, but I really liked it. So
Cool.
that's how I ended up at that score. Good. It's funny we both had the same
That's
favorite song
amazing.
on it.
So I'm very curious about this next one here. Why don't you go ahead
This
and
one
start
took
us
me.
off?
Okay, so I have never heard this band before. Their name is fucking hilarious. Their music took me by surprise for sure, dude. It's like it's
This
full of
this is
like
Viagra Boys Welfare Jazz.
oh yes, I should preface this. Viagra Boys, Welfare Jazz. Their music's full of like a lot of the same experimental jazz rock elements that I liked about King Cruel's music when I got into it. There's a
Uh-huh.
little grunge and thrash on this album too. I feel like his voice is kind of an acquired taste, and while I haven't grown to love it yet, I do like it and a lot of what he does. This album has a lot of fucking twists and turns, like the song Toad, a song that wouldn't feel out of place probably on a new Primus record, or the 80s influence on songs like Creatures or Girls and Boys.
Yep.
The album concludes with what I could only describe as a psychedelic rock country duet titled In Spite of Ourselves, featuring Amy Taylor. That's like reminiscent of something you might hear on one of like the last White Stripes albums or something. There's a few interludes on the album and a mostly instrumental track named Six Shooter that fits nicely in the middle. I had no expectations for this going in, but I was pretty impressed by it. I gave this one a 7 out of 10 as well, and my favorite track was Ain't Nice.
There you go. All right. So, Viagra Boys. I heard about them back when I started to really love Idols last year and wanted to get into more of this sound, the post punk kind of weird, grungy sound. And so I stumbled upon their song called Sports. And it's great. It was great, and I unfortunately forgot to click follow on Spotify because I figured whatever. I'll see if they're releasing something new on Instagram. Well, I'm not on the gram anymore, so I actually missed this release earlier this year. And so when I realized that I had missed it, I went and listened to it. I was like, oh shit, this is great. So I threw it on here just to kind of throw you off a little bit because yeah, it's a weird album, right? So I don't know what is this jazz folk country post punk like
Yeah,
this is
sure.
apparently they're classically trained jazz musicians, all of these guys, and they just got together and were like, well, we know how to play instruments and we like punk rock, so let's make punk rock that is not punk rock. And I think that just kind of I think it works. I gave it an 8. I think my standout is actually Into the Sun.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this was a weird album, but I didn't dislike it.
Right.
Definitely a curveball of sorts, though, at least in name.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, even in sound, man, it's really you don't hear music like this.
No. Well, at first I was
Like,
like, at first I thought Venga Boys for some reason, and I was like, is the party bus back? Like, what's going on? This was very much not a Venga Boys album.
definitely not.
All right. Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
Let's go.
So, Baby Keem, the melodic blue. I think you and I we were texting a little bit about this, and we both summed up our feelings with the classic Knives Out meme. It makes no sense. Compels me though.
Right.
um, God, yeah, this is. I don't even have notes for this. I just want to kind of talk about it because it's. I think you and I had no intention of reviewing this. We were only interested in it, even like peripherally, because Kendrick Lamar had some hand in it and a
Right.
couple features on it. And somehow you and I, without even communicating, our curiosity got the best of both of us when it came out.
Yep.
Um, I think I texted you that I was like halfway through it and I was like, I don't think we should review it, but it's better than I was anticipating. And you were like, throw it on. So
Right.
here we are. The production on this album is really fucking good. It's top notch. A lot of these beats are so well done. They're very dynamic, like Trademark USA. There's fucking party anthems like Pink Panties. There's the bangers like Family Ties. There's introspective shit like Issues. There's attempts at pop music like 16.
Yep.
There's the fucking jokey songs like Range Brothers invent almost. There's a couple throwaways, South Africa, Boo Man, a kind of nothing feature from Travis Scott that I don't think really does much. It's a weird album. It's full of inconsistencies and it's full of a lot of immature lines, but I think that's because it's coming from a guy who's rapping from like a very kid-like lens and perspective on life at this moment.
Yeah.
Songs like Range Brothers, where it's him and Kendrick Lamar just doing fucking inside jokes and being stupid. Like, I don't like that song. I don't really re-listen to it, but like, you can't say they're not having fucking fun together on that damn song. Like,
Right.
their energy's feeding off of each other. I was very impressed by songs like Issues, where it's like him without the high pitched whine vocal effect and
Right.
style, and him just rapping about his family and his mom. Even on songs like Range Brothers, like how he's talking about like being the broke kid at school and walking around with his head down and everyone making fun of him and shit. Like there are moments of honesty, but then he like quickly pulls the hoodie back over and tightens the strings again, and goes back into the character that is Keem. um, this isn't an album that I'm gonna revisit a lot outside of a few songs. But like I think that it's impressive, and I think that he showed me just enough potential to keep me interested going forward. What was your takeaway?
Well,
Oh,
so
sorry. I gave this one a 5 out of 10. My favorite track was Pink Panties.
all right, all right. Well, I was finding it difficult to kind of take it seriously
It's a
when I
very
first
horny
started.
album.
It well that, but the problem, John, is that it's good. Like it's
Yeah.
really not bad music. Look, it's not like actually good, but it is in comparison to most of his peers. This could legit be like Lil Baby, and I wouldn't be able to tell you that it wasn't. But I do have to say, this guy definitely took a couple of risks, and he made a different sounding album than most of what I hear lately. I kind of wonder what the point of having two phones is if you're going to constantly talk about having two phones. But the production and the beats are really good. They're unique, and the lyrical quality is decent. The flow is decent. It's better than most of the new dudes who auto tune. And look, I actually really expected to hate this. It's one of those albums that kind of took me by surprise. I also gave it a 5, and I actually liked Range Brothers a little better.
Yeah, so we both ended up liking it more than Donda or Certified Lover Boy. Do you think that's because our expectations for it were low?
Actually, I think it does play. I think it plays a role in our ratings. But I genuinely enjoyed this album more than both of those albums. Like I just
Yeah.
genuinely had more fun listening to it. I was more engaged. I was more curious. I mean, Drake played it safe, and Kanye went way too on the experimental side. And this kind of fits right there in the middle, where it's adventurous, it's new, it's fresh, and it's also a little bit of
It's
all the same.
fun.
It's fun.
There's so much fun on this album, and that's a lot of what's missing from hip hop right now. Like the Drake album, outside of like the meme songs, are kind of not very like I was kind of surprised at how void of hits that album is, at least obvious hits. There's songs that are gonna do well.
Yeah.
You put him and Travis Scott on a song, it's gonna do well. You put him and Jay-Z on a song, it's gonna at least stream well, maybe not radio wise. But
Right.
this album just has like a completely no fucks given approach to the making of it. And I think that comes across. And I think although I still don't understand people like Playboy Cardi or those guys, I think we're seeing in this album is what people saw in their early albums, which is just something different, and they want to support that by any means.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be careful with that because, like you said with the Donda thing, like it can become a weird thing when it's hype. Like when it's not, oh man, I hope this is good, but it's like, no, this has to be good because it's so and so. That's where it gets dangerous. And I think
Right.
he's enjoying this good pocket where he's not well known enough yet, but I think this album's definitely going to put him on the like, all right, we're expecting you to get better from here type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, it kept me interested, and I am interested, and I'll listen to more of his music, and I think that's all that can really be said, right?
Yeah. Contender for album artwork of the year too. Really like the album
Oh yeah,
artwork on
great
this song.
artwork, man.
That's
Yeah,
the pastel pier. It's really cool.
yeah, it's good shit.
All right. So we will wrap this up with reviewing the deluxe edition, which is pretty much its own fucking album of
Right?
the Used Heartwork. You're a giant Used fan, probably the biggest Used fan I know.
I'm literally wearing a the used shirt as we speak.
Of course you are. I'll let you go first. How did you like this?
All right, so let's see here. The synths on Night Sea Journey are new. They work well though. Look, I can understand why these weren't included on the album because a lot of them don't really fit on Heartwork, and I don't think that they would fit on any other album of theirs or even any new music of theirs. I think that they recorded it, and according to the email that I got from them, it was, look, we didn't want any of these songs to go to waste and you guys never hear them, so here they are, sort of thing. We recorded them during the Heartwork sessions and they just didn't fit.
Yeah.
So a lot of the songs kind of feel a little bit different, but look, I actually enjoyed the majority of these. I think there's one. It's weird to me that River Stay actually didn't make it onto Heartwork because it feels very Heartwork to me. Other songs are different, but look, man, the riff on Blood Meridian, fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's like it's really good. I liked all the songs. There's not one that I didn't like, that I actively disliked, and I'm glad for more used music whenever we can get it, you know?
Yeah. I thought this was 11 songs. That's a fucking massive deluxe edition.
It's a lot of music.
I wonder how many of these were finished when they finished the album, or if when the album was done, they're like, well, let's finish a few of those, or if these were all songs that just completely got cut. I think, man, there's some really good stuff on here. I think River Stay, Blood Meridian, and Playing the Victim all feel like classic You songs to me, and they would fit nicely alongside most of their discography.
Yep.
I think Singing Out of Tune is maybe the only miss for me, just because I don't really like that beatbox instrumental style.
Yeah, fair.
It's not that I don't expect it from a guy that's in street drum corps, but it's just not my thing. I expect them to take chances. That one just didn't land for me. I thought See You in Hell would actually have been a good closer to Heartwork. It's a bummer that one got cut because it reminds me of something we would have gotten from like the Used MCR peak together.
Right.
And goddamn, man. I hope we get back to that. I want to see Bert and Gerard on stage together doing Under Pressure one more time.
Oh, man.
I don't think people today understand what that shit was like when it was at its peak. And
no, Razor flip phones and
oh my god, sidekicks. Yeah, no, you're right. That was more Razor. That was pre-sidekick. I don't know if we're scoring this one. Blood and Meridian was my favorite because of that riff. It was so good. It was almost like Under Oath riff.
Yep,
like that shit was great. I'll give this one like a 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't rate it because honestly I didn't really see the point in it. If I had to, it would be a 6 or 7. But
yeah, maybe we'll clear that up going forward. Things we're not gonna rate. Like deluxe editions are kind of weird to rate.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's probably why I didn't even write a rating down. So
that makes sense. But yeah, Blood Meridian for both of us. Metal Fingers, synonymous.
Let's go.
All right. So that is all for this part of this month. We'll be back in a week or two reviewing a fuckload of music from the Marias, Little Nas X, Thrice, Boys Noise, all sorts of fucking people.
Boys Noise.
Boys Noise. Oh man, I could get into that one right now, but that'll be another hour tacked on. So we'll wait on that. But I think that's all for now, and we will see you guys when we see you guys.
All right, have a good one.
Peace.